Greetings, dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen. This is this dialogue with the program. I'm Shifarao Lako. The Ministry of Labor and Skills was established right in the aftermath of the national reform. Since then, it has proven itself capable of creating jobs for many citizens. It has also been working on creating citizens that are well-versed in startup and entrepreneurship. And it has been also working on minimizing the number of citizens migrating overseas in search of jobs by meeting local demands as much as possible. So what are the success stories and what are the challenges? In this edition, we'll be talking about all these issues, and my guest today is Abraham Asrat. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for joining me. It's really good to see you.
Good to see you too.
The Ministry of Labor and Skills, it's been doing amazing jobs. I've been following some of the developments there.
Sure.
So let's start our discussion with the major achievements that you've notched up so far. Can you walk me through some of the great achievements that you did?
Thank you very much, Farao, for giving me this opportunity
Absolutely.
to talk about the newly established ministry, the Ministry of Labor and Skills. Now, as you have rightly mentioned in your intro, it's been established after the reform in Ethiopia. So it's a young ministry, but at the same time, it's a supra ministry with several mandates.
Mm-hmm.
So the ministry is composed of different agencies, commissions, divisions of ministries as a ministries.
Right.
So it has brought together these entities from different places, but with the same mandate. And the ministry was established to actually address issues of duplication of mandate.
Mm-hmm.
So now the ministry has all this power, all these mandates, and it harnesses the mandates to create job opportunities and to maintain industry peace and actually work on skill development as well as building an institution building as the other mandate that we have. So the achievements of the ministry are a lot, but I can mention some of the achievements that the ministry has actually achieved so far. This can be measured in regards to the technology development or the use of technology that we have actually endorsed in the ministry and are using in the ministry and in different subsidiaries of the ministry. So when we talk about the Ministry of Labor and Skills, we are not talking about only one ministry. There are subsidiaries to this ministry. So both the subsidiaries of the ministry and the ministry itself are geared toward using technology, and this technology is actually employed to alleviate problems of the public problems of the citizens of Ethiopia. Previously, when different divisions of the ministry used to be in different part of institutes or as a ministries, there used to be a problem with regard to use of technology. Mm-hmm. There used to be a problem with regard to actually availing opportunities for the public, for the people. But now one of the achievements we consider in our ministry is the use of technology. And the other one is, as I've said earlier in my beginning, avoiding the duplication of mandates, duplication of efforts that used to happen in different entities before the establishment of the ministry. So to mention some of these things, these achievements, these are some of them. But not only these, we have bureaus in the states. These bureaus that we have in the state that are working with us actually have different names, but they have mandates, similar mandates to our ministry. Okay. They're also equipped in technology. They are also working towards minimization of duplication of efforts. So we consider these things to be some of the achievements of the ministry.
Wow, that's beautiful indeed. Given that your ministry is young, it's already accomplished a lot, and that's is to be something to be appreciated. Let's also talk about the labor forces and also the demands that's being exerted on you, the pressures. As you know, higher institutions produce a number of learned, educated youngsters, citizens in Ethiopia. And this is something to be appreciated. On the other hand, it's also its own pressure, demand on you, because they want you to produce, to create more jobs. So what are some of the pressures coming from such higher institutions that are producing youngsters, educated youngsters annually, and how are you coping up with this pressure?
Thanks a lot for asking this question again, because this is a pressing issue for Ethiopia and as well as other developing countries,
right,
both in Africa and outside Africa. Yeah, it's true that Ethiopia is a country of young people, and we're producing these young trainees from the TVET institutes that we have all across Ethiopia, all over Ethiopia. Not only the TVET institutes, but the higher education and
right,
universities, colleges produce great number of these people. But we used to face issues related to gap in regards to skills, especially soft skills. So what we have tried, what we are trying to achieve in this regard, to fill the gaps that are coming from lack of soft skills, because it has an implication at the end in the area of job creation and
exactly,
in availing opportunities. Yeah. So one of the things that we have done is in regards to creating the atmosphere to be able to train these people that are coming out of the universities and the colleges to be well versed in soft skills. This can relate to skills related to languages, leadership, skills related to human skills in general. So before this time, the tertiary education institutes, including the TVETs and the universities, were not well versed or well equipped to actually teach these people, these students in their universities, issues with regard to languages or soft skills in general. But now one of the areas that we are investing in matches investing on soft skills of the students, because when they come out of the universities and the college, if they have soft skills, they can have the ability or the skill to be entrepreneurs or to create jobs themselves. Yes. And the other area that there is a confusion that the government should be the only part or the only one
provider of jobs,
providing job, but it's a misconception, a misunderstanding. Of course, we're trying hard to avail the jobs in public sectors, but we are also encouraging the private institutes, the private sector, to create more jobs, to avail opportunities, not only jobs, but opportunities for the people that are trained in TVET institutes and universities. And this encouragement or this collaboration working with the private sector has alleviated the problem to a certain extent, but we are still working on it. We're developing different schemes, different initiatives to make the private sector avail opportunities for citizens in general and students coming out of universities and TVET colleges.
Exactly. I've also learned that the two segments of the society that you have given priority are the women and the youth. So what are some of the plans or the strategies that you put in place to make these segments of society, which are important segments of the society, to be more benefited? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, I believe we're talking about women and young people.
Exactly.
I mentioned earlier that Ethiopia is a country of young people.
Yes.
And women in the country have major roles to play in different areas. They are providers at home. I mean, providers or nurturers at home and providers in different arenas. And the young people of Ethiopia deserve opportunity as well. So as a ministry, what we are trying to do is design initiatives that helps avail opportunities for both demographies, women and young people. In that regard, we have different projects that we are collaborating with international partners and local partners. And we have a subsidiary institute that is the Entrepreneurship Development Institute that is working towards providing trainings, trainings that are tailored to the specific segment or the specific group. So these trainings enable shape the mindset, shape the understanding towards job creation for the specific groups. And not only that, we have competitions happening in the country, skill competitions that are available to different part of the society, both in the cities and in the countryside of Ethiopia. And this is not only touching the two specific groups that you mentioned, but this also stretches towards inclusion of the disabled people that are dispersed across the country in different places. So the projects that we have in here, and the projects that we are collaborating with international partners are somehow shaped to address issues with regard to availing jobs, availing opportunities to women and young people. But still, as a ministry, we have a designated department that works with women affairs. So we are inside and outside dedicated to availing opportunities for the specific segment of the people that you've mentioned earlier. But it is stretched somehow beyond that. It goes beyond that because the ministry is not only working for the specific groups that you've mentioned, women and young people, but it works for the citizens of the country, the people of the country.
It is inclusive, right?
So it's inclusive. Okay. So what we are really focusing on is, are we really bringing change in regards to mindset of the people, mindset of the citizen, with regard to entrepreneurship, with regard to skills development and things like that. So we're working toward those areas, but the specific group that you mentioned are benefiting especially with the initiatives that we have.
Wow, impressive. So as part of your efforts to provide more jobs to the citizens, not only to the young and to the women, also to everybody in general, as it is, as you said, inclusive. What are some of the challenges that you face that still is lingering and that needs, the collaboration of everybody concerned?
Thanks again for raising this question, because most of the time when you provide the analysis or when you talk about issues that falls under the mandate of the ministry or that falls under the mandate of a specific department in the ministry, these challenges don't come up.
Of course.
Like, we're not trying to conceal them or anything like that, but we actually gear ourselves towards the solutions, not the problems. But there are problems, obviously.
It is inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Yes.
As a country that is striving towards achieving a lot, we face challenges. This challenge can be related to lack of infrastructure and related to lack of resources for people or investors, to attract investors that are coming from outside Ethiopia. So what happens in that regard is we try to meet demands of the public and demands of investors coming from outside private investors. So still, these initiatives are not actually addressing the issue. So what we try is to actually work on the mindset of the public, work on the mindset of entrepreneurs, young people, women, all segments of the society towards creating jobs, towards entrepreneurship as a whole. So we have the challenge. The challenge can be enumerated, and it could be, I can tell you, like, infrastructure is one of the challenges. We have a limited infrastructure. Resources, there's a challenge that we have. And financial issues are the other challenges. Right. And investments that we did, or the investment that we actually set aside to working on creating jobs and other opportunities were limited. But as much as the capacity of the government, it was providing a lot in that regard as well. But now we are trying to address it in a way that can solve the problem sustainably. That is the mindset of the people. Exactly. For example, we're trying to promote public entrepreneurship in the government institutions and the line ministries. We have signed memorandum of understandings with different line ministries in Ethiopia and the private sector and other stakeholders as well. So these line ministries, the government line ministries and as a private stakeholders will have this understanding of public entrepreneurship. So when we have the understanding of the public entrepreneurship understanding, and when the mindset of the public is actually shaped towards that, we can solve the problem together. So there are problems, but we're not complaining about them. Rather, we're geared toward addressing the problems by bringing together our efforts towards the problem.
It's a long process,
Definitely.
something that you keep on doing
Sure.
in collaboration with other sectors. Yeah. Apart from job creation activities, Abrish, you have also this task of creating a generation or youngsters that's well versed in entrepreneurship, as you said, and startups, things like that.
Sure.
So can you also briefly tell me some of the things that you are doing in order to create a generation that's well versed when it comes to entrepreneurship or startup, things like that?
I'm very glad you mentioned this area, because this was one of my interests actually to discuss about issues related to entrepreneurship,
Right.
and actually investing in startups. One of the mandates of the ministry, as you rightly mentioned, is to actually see around things and understand the environment, understand what is happening in the world, and cope up with that. So we try to address issues proactively in order to go with what is happening, go with the current in the world.
To keep up
with
yes.
whatever is happening
Yeah.
in the world. So one of the areas that we invested a lot is in the area of entrepreneurship and encouraging, promoting startups. So we're doing this in different ways, in different schemes. The initiatives that we have in Entrepreneurship Development Institute supplements this, and the other initiatives that the ministry has under its mandate, under the divisions in the ministry, work toward promoting, giving encouragement, support, training to entrepreneurs and startups in different ways. So we have small businesses in here, we have medium business enterprises that we are encouraging in terms of finance, in terms of our availing as opportunities. As I mentioned earlier, this can be supplemented by availing competition opportunities for the young people and women of different segments of the society. As well, we are working with donors and local partners. As I mentioned earlier, we've signed different kind of memorandum of understandings, and we have bilateral agreements with different parties, stakeholders, to alleviate the issues tackling or facing entrepreneurs in the country. But it's beyond that. It's beyond that. It's not as glamorous as you can hear it to be. Issues related to entrepreneurship or beginning a startup is not as easy as anyone may think. There are hurdles, there are challenges. So the ministry tries to understand the challenge and address the challenge in collaboration with the entrepreneurs themselves or the people that are trying to start a business.
Right.
So we're not diving headfirst into the problem, but we are trying to understand it from the experience of other countries, both African countries, Asian countries, and countries in America and other places.
Right.
After understanding it, we try to alleviate the problems that they have faced, because from the experience they have, we can learn a lot and avail the opportunities with minimized challenge to whoever we are working with or our stakeholders in here. So it's a challenge, again, an opportunity.
Okay.
The concept itself, the idea itself, the idea of entrepreneurship or helping entrepreneurs is a big thing. So we are diving into it, working toward it, and we are achieving success in that regard as well.
Yeah. I've also learned that the Ministry of Labor and Skills is benefiting Ethiopians, expats that returnees. What are some of the things that you are doing in this regard, and how successful have you been so far?
Let me take that question in reverse order.
Please do.
How successful have we been so far?
Okay.
Not as successful as we want ourselves to be, but we are engaged in it. there is a dedicated division in the ministry working with other stakeholders like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other land ministries in Ethiopia towards reintegrating the repatriated citizens from different countries outside Ethiopia. So we are trying to avail opportunities for these citizens, but we're not the only ones that is concerned about the issue, because it is a headache for the government as well, a headache for the country as well. Ethiopia is a country with rich history of dignity, respect, maintaining peace and all those things. But this is one of the areas that we're not proud of. So what we're trying to do is by repatriating the citizens and helping them reintegrate in the society. But as a ministry, the Ministry of Labor and Skills has a dedicated division that is working toward curbing issues related to reintegrating or this repatriated citizens. Okay. So opportunities, for example, business development support is there for them, reintegrating them to the society in different ways, availing finances there. We collaborate with different financial institutes in the country. We have some memorandum of understanding with some of them. So one of the areas that we're working toward is addressing the issue that is facing these people, the Ethiopian citizens that are repatriated due to different reasons from different countries. So we're working with different collaborators, both inside the government and outside the government. Yeah. But the issue is very huge. Somehow we're tackling it, we're challenging it as much as possible, exactly. But there are works to be done. We have not reserved ourselves seeing the works or the challenge in there. We're collaborating with government institutions and government ministries, but still, there is a challenge.
It's an ongoing process.
Definitely, it's an ongoing process, and somehow we'll address it.
Exactly.
It will be addressed. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm so glad that you raised the collaboration. Talking about collaboration, I've learned that you are collaborating with local entities and international entities, including financial ones like the World Bank and others. Sure. So what's the collaboration like, especially when it comes to securing more financial backups or financial assistance in order to create more jobs in Ethiopia?
I'm also glad you mentioned this question, because this is big, very big. The Ministry of Labor and Skills is collaborating both locally and internationally. Yeah. We have several projects that we are working in collaboration with international donors and financial institutions, okay, including the World Bank, International Labour Organization, international organizations other than the Labour Organization. UNDP is there, okay, and for example, the MasterCard Foundation is there, and other organizations are there. So we're collaborating, but when we collaborate with international organizations and donors, we're collaborating, seeing the alignment of the objectives that we have as a government. So we try to find out their objectives, and if their objective aligns with our objective, we collaborate with groups. So far, we have signed different bilateral agreements, different memorandum of understandings to work with these organizations. Okay. This has not only been a collaboration with international organizations, but we've been doing it locally. We have signed so far around 18 memorandum of understandings with line ministries, the private sector in here, some giant one, some medium-sized. Okay. So all this is to actually address issues related to lack of skill, lack of understanding towards job itself, the nature of job, the essence of job, and availing opportunities, employment opportunities for different part of the society, group of the society. The capacity of the institution itself. Institution building is the other area we're working with these partners. So the international partners have different projects that are that are underway in our ministry, that are worked in collaboration with our ministry. These projects address issues that are related to job creation or availing opportunities, financial opportunities, and other things. But the main takeaway from all this collaboration is, do we have an alignment of objectives at the end of the day? Mm-hmm. When we have an alignment of objectives, yeah, we collaborate. Yes, we definitely collaborate. And we try to reach out to organizations wherever they are located and try to see if they have alignment of objectives.
Okay.
When we understand actually they have alignment of objectives, we invite them. For example, we send out grant applications, we send out proposals and different things in that way. We have a dedicated team at the ministry called Partnership, Project Management, and Resource Mobilization. So that team is really geared toward securing funds or securing collaborations with international organizations, regional organizations, local organizations. But the main theme here is, do we have objective that is aligning with us? Do they have objectives that is aligning with us? Okay. And if so, we go toward it and move for the relationship.
Wow. Yeah. Let's wrap up our discussion with this question. What are some of your plans, say in 5 years, in 10 years, especially when it comes to creating more jobs and also creating a citizen that's well-versed in entrepreneurship, technology, things like that?
As a ministry, that was a mandate of overseeing issues related to social, political, and economic affairs of the country. Mm. And as a ministry, a federal ministry that is responsible to see issues related to skill development, employment, and maintaining industry peace. There are plans that we say to achieve. But these plans are not only our plans as a ministry. The plans that we have come from the states, because we work in collaboration with the states. So exactly. Yes. We align our plans. Originally, the plans emanate from the opportunities the states or different actors see around them. So they see the opportunities and they see the challenge that the country is facing. So we have several plans that we are trying to achieve. The main thing is, we're planning to create the understanding, the mindset regarding job. What is job? The mentality towards job. We Ethiopians have a proud history of, I may call it dignity, a proud history of self-reliance, autonomy. But now this is the time for us to see what is happening around the world, how jobs are created and how opportunities are availed, how individuals are actually fueling the economies of different countries, big countries. So how the corporations are moving around towards availing opportunities for individuals, not the government, but private sector. So the first thing is, we are geared toward creating the mentality, actually helping create the mentality that it is not the government that is to create jobs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the government has part, but the private sector is there to avail opportunities as well. The biggest part of creating jobs or availing opportunities also should be the private sector. But the role we take is in regards to skill development. For example, how do we train our people? Mm-hmm. How are the students trained in the universities and the TVET sectors? Are they well equipped with soft skills, or are we really teaching them the theories or the hard skills? So we need to invest more on the soft skills. So we need this to expand to the states. We need this to be the reality all over the country, so that we can challenge, we can actually face our problems and solve it with pride, solve it with intense ambition to achieve, at the end of the day, more jobs, to secure more opportunities for the young people and the citizens of the country. So it is multifaceted, but in a way we're trying to address it in a different way. There are initiatives that are started by the ministry. There are initiatives that we're collaborating with as aligned ministries and government and private institutions. And at the end, we are trying to achieve the job of shifting a mindset towards job.
The psychological
makeup. The psychological makeup is what we're trying to work on. But there are challenges that we will face, and we're determined to face those challenges and become resilient towards trying to address the issues.
Yeah, already you're accomplishing great success at your ministry, and I personally believe that this can be exemplary to other African nations as well. Abraham Asrat, thank you so much for being my guest and for telling me such wonderful ideas.
Thank you for having me, Shifara.
Absolutely. Well, dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program. Thank you as well for having been with us. Until I see you next time with yet another program. It's goodbye from me, Shifara.